Hi, this is Krishna Gopal of Phase 3 Nani Annex 2. We are in Villa A255. Earlier this week, you would have seen on Prema's channel a couple of songs by my son Rajiv. And inspired by that, I sent my TEDx video link on YouTube to Prema saying that why don't you put this on your channel? And then she said, no. I want a unique recording done for my channel, and that's why I'm here today. Anyway, the talk that I did on 17th of October for the TEDx Tian Shan Park was on the topic called Serendipity. It's a very difficult word. In fact, I knew the meaning of that. And when I told about the word to many friends of mine, they said, what does that mean? So anyway, what I have really looked at my life. And I have picked up 7 guideposts or 7 milestones, which I believe will be helpful to you as well as you review your life. And maybe you will see some parallels and some aha moments. This too happened to me kind of thing. Okay, so here are my 7 rules or guideposts on serendipity. Number 1, even if you feel that you don't belong, it doesn't mean that you are not competent. Let me repeat that. Don't belong does not mean incompetent. So what's the story of my life? I was born in Burma in the year 1960. And in the year 1962, the then General of the Army, Navin, overthrew the democratic government and brought in a totalitarian military rule. And one of the things that happened was that the government said that the medium of education will become Burmese instead of English. My parents were shattered and they decided to go back to India. Didn't happen immediately. I was homeschooled for a couple of years. And then ultimately in the year 1968, we came back to Bombay because that's where most of our relatives were at that time. And my father put me in a very simple school in a suburb called Chembur in Bombay called AFAC School. Nothing great, simple school. And remember, I was homeschooled. So it's first time for me to go to a school, right? And in a different country. And I was feeling absolutely lost. On the other hand, my parents were very delighted that at least I was getting some education in the English medium. And then the first term results came by post. I opened the envelope. My mother was very anxious. And then I find that, I have got 4th rank in a class of 45. I'm competent, right? I mean, even if I don't belong, I'm competent. So that's the first rule of my life. Rule number 2, if you don't get what you like, learn to like what you get. So this is the story of my grade 12. By then, I was considered studious, good boy, and all of that. But a very strange thing was happening at that point in time in my life. I was in the first batch of class 12 of a new curriculum. And remember, the last batch of the earlier curriculum was also in play. So effectively, there were double the number of students for, let's say, seats in engineering or in medicine and so on. I wanted to do engineering, right? And why? Because I did not like biology. I didn't want to study accountancy and get into finance. So in a way, engineering was also a serendipitous choice for me. Okay. So then the merit list came out. I was not there on the merit list and disappointed. I resolved to do, well, next year I signed up to become a Bachelor of Science graduate. Resolved to do better next year, do the IIT and entrance exam and get to IIT and so on and so forth. And what happens? In July, I get a letter from the Department of Education saying because of extraneous circumstances, they have decided to increase the number of engineering seats that year. I made it to the Walchand College of Engineering in Sangli. Disappointed actually because I thought I was entitled to get into the premier schools like VJTI or SPC in Bombay. But you know what? I went to Sangli, did very well. Second year, topped the charts. Based on my marks, was able to get back to VJTI and complete my engineering from VJTI. Don't like what you get, right? So learn to like what you get, okay? Rule number 3, all that is black need not always be coal. There could be a lurking diamond underneath. What is the story of my life? Final year of engineering, and everybody was trying to go abroad by writing GRE or GMAT. Many still were writing the CAT exams to get into the IIMs, XAT exams to get into XLRI, and I did nothing of the kind. I just went along. And when the time finally came, I just wrote the CET, the Common Entrance Test that gets you admission to Jamnalal Bajaj. Wrote that, didn't make it to the merit list. And again resolved that this year I will work hard, write the CAT next year, and get into IIMs. And guess what happens? I get a letter from the University of Bombay, which says there are 3 new MBA schools being opened. SP Jain, NMIMS, and Chetana Institute of Management. And they asked me to choose. I use the Inky Pinky Ponky method and choose SPJIMR. And in 10 years' time, SP Jain becomes the leading institute, not only in India, but overseas. Talk of a lurking, glittering diamond underneath. Rule number 4, your value is known only to those who recognize your worth. Now, I was in the final year of my MBA program. And there was this company called Godrej and Boyce, which came to our campus for campus hiring into their management trainee program. Remember, Godrej was hiring in the past only from the IIMs, XLRI, or Jamnalal Bajaj. They were going nowhere else. And their coming to SP Jain was a very, very big thing. Prestige for the institute. 6 of us. And remember, at this time, I forgot to tell you that I was considered very studious, but not considered street smart by a mile, right? I was considered this very bhola bala guy. So anyway, 6 of us went to the campus of Godrej and Vikhroli in Bombay. It was a full day process. There was a essay to be written. There was 2 or 3 CXO level interviews. And the final interview was with Jamshed Godrej, right? And there were also students from the IIMs and XLRI and NMIMS and all that, right? And at the end of it, they picked 6 students for the management training program for that year, 1983. And I was the only pick from SP Jain. My mates, who were so-called street smart, were crushed. And they actually said, what is this process? How are they choosing? It's terrible. Actually, they made me feel as if this job was not worth it. But you know what? Godrej saw the value and they gave me the worth, right? So that's the most important thing. The rule number 5, value sometimes comes disguised as a problem. So I was in Godrej. I went through all the various programs. I got exposure to marketing, to product management, to sales. But I somehow always felt that I was not ready for the various roles that came my way. Anyway, in the year 1989, due to some personal exigency, I had to relocate back to Bombay. And I was placed under a very mercurial, demanding and difficult boss who also happened to be the alumnus of the Harvard Business School. You know what? That was the moment and time when I learned to work. That was the moment in time when I grew up from being a mere boy to a man. It came very late, but it was invaluable. Rule number 6, if it has to happen, it will happen. In some circles, we call it karma, right? The story of my life is that I was in Godrej, and it became apparent that the better industry, well, better is not a fair word, the happening industry was IT, right? And I somehow felt that maybe I should get in there, kind of stuff. But in the same company, with the same mercurial demanding boss, I was able to move into the IT industry. Later on in life, I joined Mahindra British Telecom, which was then a very tiny IT services company. And I saw many of my friends join that company, leave and join MNCs like Oracle and Microsoft and Cisco and make a career there. Many still went into faster growing companies of the Indian vintage and made a career there. I did nothing of the kind. I just went along, serendipity. But at the end of it, was I worse off? I don't think so. I mean, the opportunity to make some wealth, to create a base for a good living, still did happen at Godrej or at MBT or wherever I was, right? So, serendipity at play. And the last rule number 7, is that when the aha moment happens, you will know. Thank God, surrender, and go with the flow. Story of my life. I did MBA in marketing, and therefore, all through, I was placed in sales and marketing roles, right? And well, there's a story there also. Why did I do MBA in marketing? Because I didn't want to do finance. I didn't want to continue doing production. And, it seemed absurd that I should do HR or personnel after having done engineering. However, whichever role I took, I ended up coaching and mentoring my team members. And frankly, because of the way I was trained to work by a very mercurial boss, I myself was a little mercurial and a little difficult as a boss. But even then, even though the process of my mentoring coaching was not pleasant probably at many times, people did see a lot of value in what I gave. Anyway, to cut a long story short, in the year 2013, I rejoined Tech Mahindra, and my then, even now, the now CEO, CP Nani, placed me in a sales training role. Frankly, at the age of 53, ripe age of 53, I discovered my ikigai, the area of work where I love to be, right? Where work becomes a hobby, work becomes a vocation, work is not work. And even today, till today, I am in that role and I enjoy that immensely. So, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, the summary of my 7 rules. Number 1, if you don't feel you belong, doesn't mean that you're not competent. If you don't get what you like, learn to like what you get. All that is black need not always be coal. There could be a glittering diamond underneath. Your value is known only to those who recognize your worth. Value sometimes comes disguised as a problem. If it has to happen, it will happen. In some circles, we call it karma. And finally, when the aha moment comes, you will know. Thank God, surrender, and go with the flow. Thank you very much. Krishna Gopal again, doing the re-recording of my TEDx talk, and I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you have some value coming out of this. Thank you.